All right, welcome everyone again to another CS Music Masterclass. We're happy to be here with Dr. Strauss from SUNY Fredonia, and I am going to turn the time over to him and introduce himself. And also, I was still waiting to hear if Stephanie and Lisa are in the classroom and are ready to sing. We heard from, oh, sorry, Stephanie. We have Stephanie and Leah. We need Lisa and Illyria, I believe, are the other two. So will you just put that in the chat so that I know that you're here? And Dr. Strauss, will you introduce yourself, please?
I absolutely will. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. Robert Strauss. I teach at SUNY Fredonia, which is on the shores of Lake Erie on the west coast of New York. I don't know how much you want to know about myself. Before we're done with this, I'll put my little bio in the chat. I can certainly, as a tenor, I can talk forever. And I certainly enjoy talking about myself, but I'm not sure that's why we're here. The title of the session is Communicating Through Song. And it certainly is one of my favorite topics. I've spent, I'm not as old as I look. I frost my hair so I look more distinguished. I can't decide if I'm 27 or 32, and I'm not sure that that matters to you. I'm neither. But I spent a lot of time thinking about what draws me to singing, what I love about singing, or maybe better stated, why I have to sing. And I think those of you in the room, you're here because you have to sing. If there was something else that you could do to pass your time, you might find something that's less troublesome, if you know what I mean, because we worry about our technique and we worry about what we're wearing and what our audience is thinking, and you know, in this day and age, what our background is, et cetera, et cetera. And I've come to the conclusion that I love to sing because of the connection I feel with other people when I do, that I communicate in a different way, maybe in a better way than I do just speaking. The music elevates it. I feel a different kind of connection. And I'm also an overthinker, and I love to just dig in to the texts and to the situations of the songs. Sometimes I know we got, some of the singers are singing from shows, and so whether that's musical or opera, and so there's a lot of background in the libretto or the script of the story that can give us information about what we're singing, who we are. But even with art songs, we can create that circumstance and figure out why we're singing these words, to whom we're singing these words, so on and so forth. So I love this topic, and I love that we're going to dig in with that. So, that's awesome that I'm easily distracted, and I just saw that in the chat that all the singers are here, which also, you don't need to hear me talk about why I sing. I think maybe I should hear somebody sing and see if there's anything that I can do to help. So who, do we take volunteers?
Yeah, so let's, do we have a volunteer to be first of the four singers? Illyria, I see your hand first. You want to unmute yourself?
Of course, sure. Hi. I'm Illyria, and I will be singing Much More from Fantastics.
I love it.
To swim in a clear blue stream where the water is icy cold, then go to town in a golden gown and have my fortune told. Just once, just once, just once before I'm out, I'd like to be not evil, but a little worldly wise, to be the kind of girl designed to be kissed upon the eyes. I'd like to dance till 2 o'clock, or sometimes dance till dawn. just go on and on and on. Just once, before the chance is gone. I'd like to waste a week or two and never do a chore, to wear my hair unfastened so it belongs to the floor, to do the things I've dreamed about but never done before. Perhaps I'm bad or wild or mad with lots of grief in store, but I want much more than keeping house, much more, much more. That is it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, it's so hard to do it this way, isn't it?
Yes.
This time of our lives, I mean, we must love to sing, that we're willing to stand in our closets or kitchens or bedrooms and sing to a pre-recorded accompaniment, which, by the way, great job. I know a couple of times it wasn't following you. Like,
yeah, I was like throughout this, like through like most of the song, because I have another accompaniment, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, so, okay.
Accompaniments that are really good, but then you can't like find it anywhere. So it's just like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna play this random one. And I was just like, okay.
No, I understand that. I have a lot of safe places that I put things and can't remember where that safe place is.
Yeah.
So that happens with computer.
Picking
so
myself back up.
Yeah, for sure. So do you know much about the Fantastics or about Louisa?
I do a little. My vocal teacher did like break it down for me a little. Like I know that Louisa is crazy and like she's crazy, and I mean I've done her monologue before the song and it's just like, wow, she's really a little crazy.
Well,
I love that. I love the song. I love that. So
oh yeah. Well, she's well, let me ask it this way.
Interesting.
Well, she is interesting, but I think there's a lot that I identify with, even though Louisa is nothing. I mean, we're not the same age, or we don't present in the same gender, or any of those things. Yeah. But I think, she's figuring out who she wants to be. This is perhaps a question you haven't thought about, so I'm sorry that I'm putting you on the spot. But if you thought, what does she want to have happen by the end of the song? Can you summarize that in a sentence or two?
I'm not like strongly able to know the song that well, but
sure.
I'm thinking like she wants to be, per se, like keep her childhood, mm-hmm. like mature as an adult and still be a child, or like being able to experience childlike things that aren't usually the normal thing in, say, adulthood, or
sure,
the world of being an adult.
Sure. Now, I don't always like to give line readings, if you've heard of that term before, so you make up your own mind, but I'm going to share some of my thoughts about really this song in particular. The show, well, it's great and it's wacky.
Yeah.
And it's crazy and it's different. But I just feel like Louisa comes from this small town, and she's read in magazines or books, or if she were contemporary, maybe she's seen on YouTube these great adventures that young women have. Being kissed upon the eyes is maybe such a strange thing to imagine, but it's almost as if she saw that in a movie, that this really sophisticated, wonderful young woman who she aspires to be got kissed upon the eyes. And so that's something that she that's a mark for her of sophistication and maturity and adulthood. And as I said, I think she's from a small town and she wants to experience what happens in a big town. So she's got this, you say crazy, but I think it's just this list of things that she's compiled from whatever her sources can be, stories her friends have told, as I say, magazines she's looked at, YouTube clips, movies she's seen, TV shows she's watched, of things that she knows she's good enough to be, but that hasn't happened to her yet. And she's just, I feel like as the song goes on, she gets more and more excited about that. And I think to give you something to do, I'd love to go back to the beginning of this song, but I think your challenge is to find this arc where there are all these different, it's a list of things she wants to have happen to her, but that it's always spontaneous, like, oh, this thing too, you know, to do the things I've heard about but never, or whichever. Is that an animal?
My sister is coming to the kitchen.
Oh, it's fine. I was going to say, if it's a dog or cat, I'm not at home right now, but my dogs would have appeared by now if I were at home.
Yeah.
So does that make sense to you? Because I feel like that's something that we all can identify with, just like, you know,
yes.
Oh, I want to see Wicked on Broadway before, you know, once it reopens, or I can't wait for the Dear Evan Hansen movie, or,
yeah, exactly.
For example, just things, and that, oh, I just saw this thing and I want to tell you about it, as far as that goes. So back to the beginning, I might stop you a little.
Okay. I'd like to swim in a clear blue stream where the water is icy cold, then go to town in a golden gown and have my fortune told. Just once, just once, just once before I'm old, I'd like to be not evil, but a little worldly wise, to be the kind of girl designed to be kissed upon the eyes.
Great, that's great. Let's stop for a second. By the way, I love that. Oh, when you're your own accompanist, it's hard to stop. I love the line, I'd love to be not evil, but a little worldly wise. Like, I feel like another important thing to do when you're communicating through song, to bring it back to the title of the presentation, is figure out to whom you're speaking. Because I might say words like this to my mom, and I might say the same thing to my best friend, and I might say the same thing to a coworker, but I would say it differently each time, and I would bring out different things. Yeah. And I'm also thinking about how they might respond, or they have a look on their faces about, you know, I'm going to swim in a bright, clear pond, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And they're like, yeah, but those are things that evil people, I'd like to be not evil. You know, you're going to say that those are things that evil people, I'd like to be not evil, but a little worldly wise. I'm still going to be good. I'm still going to be me, you know, and that way. And I also think this repetition of just once, sometimes composers repeat text because they've got half a measure to fill, or because they've written a beautiful melody, and they need 5 more syllables and they fill it in. I'm not giving composers enough credit when I say that, but sometimes that I fear is the truth. But then it's our responsibility to figure out, well, why are we saying it again? Just once, just once, just once before I'm old, like Dr. Strauss. I'm not old. Thanks for that. Does that make sense? And then it's more exciting for you as a performer, because you're thinking, you know, the first time you say just once, it might just once, and then it's like, no, I mean it. I would be happy if you know, if I could see Ben Platt in Evan Hansen, since we already connected over Evan Hansen, like to see that happen just once, the implication is just once and I die happy.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it 40 times like, my best friend Monica did. I just once, and then I'm fine. And then I can, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So figuring out why you're just once before, or whatever, I die, or I'm old, or whatever the lyric is there.
Yeah.
And I think it's also with these list songs, figuring out how each thing is special or different.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I go back to, once you figure out who you're talking to, and it doesn't have to be who you're talking to in the show. And I think in the show, you're on stage alone anyway.
Yeah.
So you can pick, pick your mom, pick your sister, pick your dog, or my dog, as far as that goes. And how would you say that? Why is that important? And are you trying to make them excited about it too? And probably so, because you're trying to convince them that you're not crazy. Even if Louisa is a little off her rocker, she's going to try to convince people that she isn't.
Yeah.
And singing in this bright, clear, swimming in the bright, and dancing till 2 o'clock. Doesn't that come on later? Like,
Yeah.
that's a little evil. That's a little, well, that's worldly wise. Certainly good girls like you and me, we're home by 9 p.m. The streetlights come on and we're home. But and it's not dance till 10 o'clock. It's not dance till 11 o'clock. It's not midnight. It's 2 a.m. And again, that just sounds like something that's something that happened in a TV show, or something in a movie, to this person you want to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I don't mean to just keep giving a shopping list. I want to give you time to sing, and you're singing so beautifully. I should have said that before. But it can be useful to go through this like a monologue.
Yeah.
To take it up. No. It's not always very obvious to do, and you don't always want to spend voice lesson time doing that, because you're trying to figure out what to do with your jaw or your tongue, or how you're going to approach the head voice, or whatever it is you're working on, or how to sing the word once at all. But to take it and just, and sometimes I don't even want to say monologue. I'm just, if this were a conversation, how would you say it? And that can bring to light many wonderful things, because the music makes you want to bring out golden. The golden is lovely and it's important, but maybe it's the gown that matters more.
Okay.
Maybe. I might be wrong. It might be that gold is your favorite color. I'm now thinking of Beauty and the Beast and how Belle in the library is wearing a golden gown. And so, I know Fantastics predated that movie, but even so, maybe it has to do with a golden gown. Well, then it's fine the way that it is. But maybe it's go to town in a golden gown, and that the gown is what you're really wanting to bring out. Yeah. I think we have time for you to experiment with that again. And if it pulls you away from the accompaniment, so be it. We're just doing this opening. I'm sure you could do it a cappella if you had to.
Yeah, I've done it a cappella.
If you sing wrong notes or wrong rhythms because you're thinking about the words, or trying to figure out who you're talking to, or how you're trying to convince them, this is all good. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. So just do it through?
From the beginning again. I'll probably stop you.
Okay. I'd like to swim in a clear blue stream where the water is icy cold. Then go to town in a golden gown and have my fortune told. Just once, before I'm old. I'd like to be not evil, but a little worldly wise, to be the kind of girl designed to be kissed upon the eyes. I'd like to dance till 2 o'clock, or sometimes dance till dawn, or if the band could stand it, just go on and on and on. Just once, before a week or two and never do a chore. To wear my hair unfastened so it billows to the floor.
Good, good. That's really great. I already see you making just wonderful choices about why you're saying the things that you're saying. And I see you picturing them more and understand why, you know. I want to be clear. I don't want to swim in an icy cold pond, but there's something that she, right? But there's something that she loves about it and that's so important to her. And we can also, I'd already mentioned, sometimes composers make choices that maybe we don't understand. I think it's a little strange to hold the word I'd like to, right? Well, that's not the important word there. But maybe she hasn't figured out what she's going to say next.
Yeah.
But doesn't want the person she's having the conversation with to interrupt or start talking about her boyfriend or start talking about the things that she wants to do. No, this is all about me. So I'd like to, right? So there might be, that might give you energy. And I'd also like to say, I'm not keeping track of the time, by the way, so I know that I'll be interrupted when I run out. Right?
Yeah, you've got about 2 minutes.
Beautiful. I figured, thank you so much. Before we started, I said I would either be really good about it or awful about it. So thank you. I think that thinking about these things, who you're talking to, what you're trying to convince them of, or what you're trying to get them to do, or what you're trying to have happen by the end of any song. So I'm talking to all of us right now and not just to Illyria. But I think it has an effect on our breath.
Yeah.
You know, it just, and so I love that it has this dual purpose, because when I'm more invested in how I'm communicating the text, sometimes I accidentally breathe better to sing.
I don't breathe better than I sing, like, because I've been doing vocals for about 3 years now, and
Okay.
I still have those habits, and I trying to get out of those habits, but
of course,
yeah, breathing won't be my strongest.
Well, it will be a journey. I feel like all of us, you know, myself included, I'm just on this journey in search of the holy grail that is perfect breath support. And so I get better and better every day and all of those things. But my point is, when I'm excited about something, like Louisa is excited about something, and I'm telling the story to my friend, sure, maybe I'm not always breathing like I should for a singer, but I feel like that I do open up my rib cage and I do release my lower abs when I got to tell you this thing, just naturally. And that's what I want to do when I sing as well. So if I'm going to tell you this thing, I'd like to dance till 2 o'clock, or maybe, you know, and I'm in the story and I'm excited in the way that Louisa is excited, I might accidentally be doing some of the opening the rib cage, releasing the low abs, breathing into my back, however your voice teachers talk about these nice low released breaths. I think there are things that the actor and the singer can both do at the same time, that the actor's like, well, I'm doing it to tell the story, not because I sing better. And the singer's like, well, I'm doing it because it makes me sound better, not because I'm acting better. And, you know, that's sort of your peanut butter is in my chocolate, your chocolate's on my peanut butter. It doesn't matter. It's just, it's a better combination.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, really.
Yeah. So do that with the whole song. And let her get more excited and remember these things that, or the reaction she's getting from the person she's telling to means she can be brave enough to share this thing that she's a little embarrassed to tell other people, whatever the later things in the song are. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So even when you're in your kitchen and your sister's wandering in, it can be this thing. I'm not making fun of you. I love these moments that we get to experience. And I feel like we're all going to come out of this better performers, because, you know, we're going to get on the stage under the stage lights where our dog isn't wandering in, someone isn't knocking on the door, 15 other people in the house aren't online, so our internet isn't cutting out, or whatever things we've been having to deal with. So I appreciate this greatly. And I love that song. I love you singing it. Continue to explore that.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
No, thank you. Wonderful. And I see next we have Leah. Is that right? So thank you. Thank you, Ilaria.
Yes, I'm Leah.
Hi, Leah. What are you singing?
I will be singing Stanchion by Schubert, and I am in 11th grade, so I'm a junior in high school. So my college search is just beginning.
Perfect. I know one you can look at, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Well, Fredonia has been on my list because I'm located in Buffalo, Rochester area, so it's not too far from me.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. I'm from Kenmore originally, if that means anything to you. So.
Yeah, I think I know what that is.
Okay, super.
Okay. And that's the end. Thank you.
Very nicely done. Very nicely
Thank
done.
you.
I like the way you're singing. I'd like to talk just a couple of things that aren't related to your singing or could be. So when I compliment you, I don't want you to think that I also don't like your voice.
Yeah.
I like your commitment to the prelude, the interludes, and the postlude, that you're in character for the whole song and not just when you have words. That's a trap that a lot of we singers fall into. when we have the words or we're singing the music, we know the emotion. We know what we want to communicate or what we're trying to communicate, but then there's a piano interlude and we go sort of blank.
Yeah, like blank. Yeah.
Yeah, in between. And I loved your commitment to continuing to communicate during the interludes. And I think that you can go even further with that, because I think sometimes the interlude can be a journey from what you've said to what you're about to say.
Okay.
You know, and that it doesn't have to be, you know, that you're moving an inch a second. It can be, you reflect on what you just said and you're in that moment and you're enjoying what you just said and it occurs to you something else and then you have to say something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing about the postlude, that it could just be a reflection on what you've just said, for sure. But it could also be, if I'm still talking about what you want to have happen by the end of the song, why you're saying these words and what change you want to occur as a result of your singing, your character saying these words, if you will.
Okay.
Has it happened? And maybe it's an enjoyment that it has, or, you know, in a sadder song, maybe it's sadder that it is. Do you know what the song is about? Can you put it in your own words, what you've just said?
Yeah, so it's like a love song. So I actually have the translation here, but I won't look at it. So basically my character, he or she, I don't know.
I think it's up to you. It's up to you.
Okay. Then I could pretend I'm singing to like my boyfriend or someone like that. So some of the words, it's like they're like reflecting on like, oh, like the tree is like rustling in the wind, and it's just very like dreamy and very like, oh, like nature around us, and then don't be afraid, come to me, don't be afraid.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you mentioned already that it's taking place in the evening, and there's so many beautiful poems about the evening, which I love, because I especially in the fall, I love to take walks, you know, just after it's become dark, because it's so peaceful and mysterious and wonderful and all of those things. And if you don't feel that way, that's fine. You can create it in the song and then be the morning person that you are and take your walks in the morning and all of that. So that's the text of the song, yes, and you have a good understanding of it, and it's very important. It's very important when we're singing in a foreign language, of course, to have a sense of the translation, to understand, to have a word-by-word translation. Sometimes there's a public, and you do, and good for you, and good for your teacher for that. Sometimes there's a published English version, but it's not quite what the German is saying, or it's not happening when the German says, because they need to worry about the right number of syllables, and they want it to rhyme, and they're trying to put the high notes on good vowels and all of those things. And so sometimes it's not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also important, and this is where with a song like this, it can be fun. It's important to think about the situation of the song, which isn't necessarily clear from the text, not in the way that you're singing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, literally this means, as you say, I'm walking through the trees and I'm thinking of you and I'm hearing the birds and all these things are happening around me, and I wish I were, you know, that we could be together or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. But
you could think about, well, why aren't you together? How long have you been apart? You know, is this were you together early in the day, but then he had to go to work, and you're like, but you know, normally on Friday night, that's when we watch the new episode of whatever it is, or that's when we do whatever, and he doesn't normally have to work, and I wish so I'm just wandering around outside. Or, you know, has he gone to summer camp? And okay, my computer's making noise at me. I don't know how to turn that off because I'm at school, and teachers do not know technology. So maybe it'll stop and maybe it won't. It has for me, so I'll keep talking. People who watch the recording later will enjoy that greatly, especially teachers who also understand all of the technology we've had to learn. So I'd mentioned, could be summer camp, or maybe he moved across the country, or maybe it's dark and then I'm going to stop talking about you and your boyfriend because I don't want to get really dark, but maybe, maybe this is a boyfriend and they broke up, and she wants to get back together and she's singing about that. Or if we, German poetry of this time period, it could even be that the other person has died. So, these are very different situations that aren't explicit in the text, but I think that it is super, okay, thank you. Oh, I've talked so much that we're almost out of time, thank you. But it's a beautiful long song. And I want you to think about these things the next time you perform it. And frankly, I want you to play around with different ideas. This time I'm gonna sing it, and it's just that he's gone to work and I wish we were together tonight. And this time I'm gonna sing it and he's gone across the country and he's gone for 3 weeks. And this is the second week. So he's been gone for 2 weeks and he's gone for 2 more, and what does that bring out of me? And I also I feel like this text, it's sort of solemn, isn't it?
Yeah, like the undertones, like when it first comes in, it's like, I was talking to my voice teacher about this yesterday. I was like, it sounds so dark for it to be like a love song. Like how does that work? And she was like, well, Germans are usually, back when they like wrote the song, they're like more like darker and like they like the solemnness and everything.
They absolutely do. But I think it's also, it also kind of has this prayerfulness to it. So it could be just, you're expressing, this isn't puppy love, it isn't a crush, this is a more mature relationship. So you're not just like, oh, I want to be with him. It's more, oh, I wish we were together and we were enjoying these things that I'm enjoying right now. So that can figure in too.
Okay.
But I think because it's kind of got this solemnness, it can be fun to explore or experiment with the opposite. Are there moments in this text where you're so solemn and you're so, I'm going to keep using prayerful because I can't think of a better word right now, but are there moments where you can show giddiness or just bursts of joy in a phrase, in a word, so that when you sing about not being together in the moment, which that's not exactly what the song is about, and I know that it's a little different than that, but that we see how happy you would be, or how happy you are when you think about this moment with this person, so that when it becomes more solemn, we are feeling for you, like, yes, I felt that way,
Okay.
thinking about thinking about going to Disneyland, or if I keep talking about Dear Evan Hansen since the trailer just dropped, I saw it when it came to Buffalo, so I did see it on the stage, not with Ben Platt, but so just thinking about how exciting it was to see the show all put together and be in the room where it happened. That's a whole different show. Copyright infringement. It will be cut from the recording of this. But just to show that joy in a moment as you remember this thing that you did together, as then you share your, maybe there's sorrow as well, that you can show this contrast, even in this song that generally is one thing, but in a specific moment might be a few more.
Okay.
But really, really good work on this German text. I think you're doing a good job with the German diction. Keep working. There are different sounds that we've got in German than we do in English, and they don't feel great in the mouth, and they'll just get better and better as you keep doing it. And I also loved your sense of legato. I would be remiss if I didn't share with you that. And the one other thing that I interrupted myself early on, you want to gesture, and I love that. So do. But
okay.
Sometimes when you gesture, and it could be this weird thing with Zoom, where you want to show your gestures, but sometimes it made your shoulders close into your body, which of course can have a negative impact on your singing. So you can do that for sure to show vulnerability or weakness. You absolutely can, but you want to be aware of what you're doing to your vocal mechanism. And so maybe you don't do it that often, or you might decide, no, I can have my shoulders more open as I do that, but still have the same gesture and show the same emotion or impact.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. This was great. I'm sorry we didn't have more time. I love Schubert is so wonderful. Schubert is so wonderful. Thank you for singing it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Stephanie is next.
Oh, actually, I think I had said Lily, if that's
I
okay.
am not able to read. I'm so sorry, Lily. I made Stephanie really nervous right then and Lily really disappointed. It's what voice teachers do. So Lily, what are you singing?
I will be singing Time Heals Everything from Mac and Mabel.
Oh, nice. I can't wait to hear it.
I'm also a rising senior, so I'm also on my college search right now.
Oh, beautiful.
Time heals everything, Tuesday, Thursday. Time heals everything, April, August. If I'm patient, the break will mend, and one fine morning the hurt will end. So make the moments fly, autumn, winter. I'll forget you by next year, some year. Though it's hell that I'm going through, some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year. Time heals everything. Time heals everything but loving you. Time heals everything, Tuesday, Thursday. Time heals everything, April, August. If I'm patient, the break will mend, and one fine morning the hurt will end. So make the moments fly, autumn, winter. I'll forget you by next year, some year. Though it's hell that I'm going through, some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year. Time heals everything. Time heals everything but loving you. Thank you.
Nice job. Really nice job. I loved your commitment to the story. You know, your portrayal of it was very, well, heartbreaking, really. So thank you for breaking my heart on a Friday afternoon. It's rainy here, so it works really well for that. I think it's difficult in this song. There are all those interruptions, right? What do you think that's about?
Are you referring to the like Tuesday, Thursday, April?
Yeah, and even at the end where there's the rest before the last you.
Yeah.
Like just there's these, you know, she's saying a sentence, but she keeps interrupting herself and having these little breaks.
I think it's emotion, and I think the breaks that are interrupting our emotion. I think that she's really directing the you. I don't think until that point she says you only twice in the song, and so I think the whole song, it could be taken general if she were to be saying it to someone. Time heals everything, but until that point she says it's you. Like it really drives home the fact that she's talking about Mac.
Yeah, No, great. And I'm throwing these questions at everybody and not necessarily phrasing them perfectly as far as that goes, but it's just something that I know about the song and all of this. One of the things that's tricky in a piece like this, where time heals everything, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever. I'm going to sing whatever melody I want to, version of the song, and whatever words I want. Don't change. You're singing it right. But you know that one of the things that we have to do as singers is, for lack of a better way to say it, is let the tone ride on the breath. You know, we want to get hooked up to the breath support before we start to sing, and then just, I like to say, whoosh the breath out. And then you've got a piece like this that's really broken because of the drama. You know, maybe it's that she almost can't even focus on what she's trying to say because time keeps happening, but it's not healing it for her, right? Not yet. She's not there yet. So Tuesday, Thursday, I'm waiting for this to happen, right? Yeah. Until I am healed. As you say, she doesn't reveal that till the end, that's what she's talking about. But I feel like you can use the breath to indicate her strong desire to get there, to be solved, you know, and that it's, I hope I'm saying this well, you're nodding, and I'm understanding what I mean. Let me say it a different way. I feel like on the surface, technically what we want to do is little puffs of breath. Time heals everything, Tuesday, right? But that's contrary to what we need to do as a singer, because we need more time heals everything, Tuesday, right? But that's not the song that Jerry Herman wrote. This is Jerry Herman, right?
Yes.
I think so. Just agree with me, it'll be fine. If it's not, I sound smart to myself in the moment, to everybody else. No, that's not Jerry Herman. How bizarre. It's great, but if you can, I'm thinking of a swan swimming across a pond, okay? And so what the melody is doing is the right? So there's all this kind of interruption and flurry and chaos that is her emotional instability, but that the breath moving could be her desire to have this problem solved, and her yearning probably ultimately to be with him, but to be happy. Is that sort of?
In the show, she wants to forget him because she's trying to be with Taylor. But I think that she wants to be with him, but she wants to forget him because of all the things he's done to hurt her.
Sure. Well, yes. And I'll be the first to say it, men are the worst. Okay, thank you. Pause for laughter. Okay, there was a couple laughter. In any case, yeah, so her intention or her goal for the end of the song is to forget him, right? So she's got this burning passion. And even on the very first sound, can you just sing the first phrase a cappella in whatever key? Do you know what the first note is?
Yes.
What is it?
Well, I can sing it. I don't know.
Okay, just sing the first phrase and see if you can't have the breath moving through.
Time heals everything, Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah. And when you have that breath moving through, now I know I'm talking about communicating through song, and so I'm going at it sort of a backwards way. But sometimes the singer part of us needs to convince the actor to do, and you're such a good actor, I think, and I hope that you think you are, that you're going to have to convince the actor to do what the singer needs to do. And so if the breath is this constant yearning to forget him, that even when you're not singing, there's this desire for the breath to keep moving. So you just sort of, you open up the tap. It's not, you have to push it out the door.
Great.
We're basically out of time. I'm so sorry, Dr. Strauss.
Oh,
we
yeah.
still have one more singer. So
I'm so sorry, Lily, but I hope that helps you move forward. It's beautiful, and I love the maturity. And I know Prendy, I think, is last, right? So we got to get going.
me, and I have a decade on the other ladies, so I'm not gonna specify.
So beautiful, so beautiful, and thank you for singing. I think it's I have probably more than a decade on you, so I understand. But I think it's wonderful, you know, to hear what the next steps are. Beautifully sung, really, really beautifully sung, and a difficult aria, isn't it? In a lot of ways. Have you done the role?
I literally just learned this last week, but I would love to do the role. If I
Oh.
had a role that I had to do before I die, I'd want to do this one.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful. But the horrible thing is how late in the opera this aria is.
Yes.
It's near to the last thing that she does or sings. And, you know, Una furtiva, the tenor aria, is also late on the show. And it's like, I just want to get that out of the way so that I can enjoy the rest of the performance rather than be worrying the whole time about this. I think you did a marvelous job of being in character. And I I have some thoughts and I have no idea if they're valuable. So I'll share them with you, nod and smile. And if they don't apply, wander away and say, well, he was full of baloney. She has spent a long time. I feel like she's in love with Nemorino the whole time. I feel like that's been true, but in the time period when this is set and she's a landowner, and if she gets married, her husband becomes the owner of the property and all those awful things that happened. So she needs to make sure that the man she marries is going to do right by her and for the people who work on her land and all of these things. And so I think she's not wanted to show Nemorino how she feels until she knows that he's worthy of not her, but being the co-landowner and all of those things. So by the time this happens in the opera, I think she's very used to not showing any of the emotions you just showed, you know, because it's very clear by what she's done that she bought back his freedom, essentially, by buying back these papers, that she cares about him. And so I think there are lots of opportunities in the aria to sort of play the opposite and sort of show yourself, maybe not when you sing, but in the interlude, showing yourself being uncomfortable, revealing this to him and trusting yourself enough to share. I mean, in real life, I feel that way too. This kind of deep emotion it's hard to share with someone, you know, and maybe I said it the wrong way, or maybe I shouldn't have said this, or, you know, just, you know, I bought this really expensive thing for you here. Don't thank me for it. Don't, you know, and I think playing those opposites also, because sometimes Adina doesn't seem like a very pleasant person and people may not like her during the show. I do. Although I'm Nemorino, so of course I like her. But I'm not always Nemorino. But this is an opportunity to show who she really is and like have those moments break out, but then cover it back up again. Do you know what I mean? And I think it can be fun to play that and maybe also distract you from these long phrases or these high notes. Not that it's that high yet. There's another one coming up later in the show, isn't there? But again, it'll give you as a performer more to do in those interludes, because the thing is, there's not that much text. You're not saying that much. And in opera, all of the time, we say like 5 words over the course of 10 minutes. And so figuring out how we're gonna fill in the gaps. And I think it can be fun to play these opposites.
Yes, I feel like now that you mentioned it, what I feel is like perhaps before I went from the Adina that everyone expects to just right into, oh, Nemorino, I love you. And that emotional switch doesn't quite make sense to go so drastically from one to the other, perhaps?
Well, at least for the audience, I think it's harder. And if they can see her struggling to show it, they'll understand, oh, this is why she was the way she was the whole time. She's now showing who she really is. And now we love her, and now we're going to give her the standing ovation at the end. Yeah?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for singing that. I think that we're out of time. Is that right?
Yes, pretty much. Yes, we do have time for just a couple of questions if you are good, Dr.
I am good with that. Thank you so much, Stephanie,
So
and Lily and Leah and Illyria. You all did beautiful work, and I appreciate that.
So if anybody has any quick questions, you can put it in the chat or raise your hand virtually or physically, and we can have you ask your questions. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So you gave some really good insights on the different pieces and finding different ways to interpret songs that I had never thought of when I have listened to these. And I was wondering if you have any advice on how to find those moments and those different ways of interpreting those things.
Sure. Well, I think I think playing around with the situation of the song or the piece, even if it comes from a show, you can take it out of context, for sure. I think sometimes things shake loose in those moments. And I do like playing with the idea of playing with opposites. So if it's a sad song, I might sing it happy, as hard as that is, and see if something shakes loose. Oh, I didn't know that I could sing that one phrase in this whole song works happy. So I want to keep that. Or if it's a happy song, I'm going to sing it sad. I mean, to paint in broad strokes, and maybe something shakes loose. And then changing to whom you're singing, I think, can have a big impact. I was in a different class, someone else was leading, who said, always start with your mother. Everybody, and if you don't have a mother, it's an aunt or, an authority figure in that way, because we all have very specific relationships with those authority figures. And we might, like, I'm afraid to say this to my mom, or, like, I'm trying to convince her of this thing. So changing it from your mom to your best friend, to your coworker, to, the president, I don't know. I think that can shake things loose in that way. Just being really experimental with not being tied down to the literalness of the text in particular has helped me.
I love that. Love that advice. Thank you. Unfortunately, I think we are out of time. I wish we had time to do more, but thank you so much, Dr. Strauss, for being here with us.
Oh, thank you. And I'm supposed to have talked more about Fredonia. So if you have any interest, look it up. It's great. I'm an alum, and I came back to teach. So clearly I love it very much. And a couple of you mentioned that Fredonia is on your list. So there are wonderful things about it. If it's a good fit for you, just reach out to me. I put my bio in the chat, but my email is strauss@fredonia.edu. So I'm easy to reach.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, singers, for bravely sharing your beautiful talents and
in these bizarre circumstances.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, everyone, for being here. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you.